there, my name's Linda Driver and I'm a University of California Cooperative Extension Master Food Preserver. Today I'm going to do a short video on how to dry fruit. I'm going to make, one session I'm going to make dried apricots and the other one fruit leather. So for both of those things we need a dehydrator. You can do it in the oven, but it's a lot more efficient and a lot faster in a dehydrator. And before we start, I will tell you, you can go spend money for a brand new dehydrator, but if you keep your eyes open at garage sales, estate sales, and thrift shops, you can find a dehydrator for about 20 bucks because people buy it and then they stop. But if you've got a fruit tree and it's producing fruit, you need to do something with that fruit. So this is the way to do it. Okay, there's different kinds of dehydrators. They all have a heating element of some sort, and the best ones have a fan. This one has a fan on the top. It heats the air and it pushes it down through the trays to dry the food. There's also a temperature gauge on the side because different foods require different amount of heat in order to get to the right degree of dryness. The reason we dry food is it removes the water. And if you remove the water, then your food will be preserved and you won't have to worry about it going bad. The trays, let me put this over here. The trays stack nice and neatly, and you can put your dried fruit right on top of these trays, but I have found a couple of things that really help. This is a liner that goes on it, and it is really good because the fruit won't stick, and so you will be able to get your fruit off. This other liner is one I use when I'm making a fruit leather, and it does the same thing. The fruit doesn't stick to it, and so you can pour your fruit leather on it and peel it right off. Some dehydrators have the fan and heater on the top, some have it on the bottom, and some have it in the back. The best of them are these big rectangular models, but they take up a whole lot of space and they're kind of heavy. So this one was one I got for $20 at an estate sale, and it works just fine. So when you're dehydrating fruit, you want to, if you're going to dehydrate the pieces of fruit, this is where you want to find your prettiest pieces. You want to find ripe fruit, and you want it to not have bruises and not have blemishes and stuff. If they do, cut them out, but that's what you want. When we go to make fruit leather over here, that's when you can use the beat up stuff. You will still cut out the bad spots and the bruises, but it doesn't matter because you're going to blend it and make it into sort of a mush that's going to turn into your fruit leather. So in order to prepare my apricots for drying, what I need to do is, I've already rinsed them, and then I'm going to remove the pit, and then I'm going to put the halves into this solution of citric acid and water that I made, and it needs to sit in the solution for 10 minutes before we start so that the citric acid can get in there and get deep enough so that the fruit won't darken while it's drying. And you can buy citric acid, and if you go to the National Center for Home Food Preservation, you can find recipes that give you the proper amounts to mix of the citric acid and how to treat each of the different fruits that you want to dry. So we're going to do this, and then I will put them on the tray after they've had 10 minutes to soak, and then the drying can start. Okay, our apricot halves have soaked in the water with the citric acid in it for long enough, for the 10 minutes, and that should keep them from browning too much when they dry. When you dry these, you put them in the dryer with the pit side up so that they won't stick and they will dry the best. So I'm going to fill up this whole tray, and then when I put the lid on to start drying, it could take up to 24 hours because, as you can see, these are pretty thick. So you start checking after about 12 hours, and it might take all the way to 24 hours before they are dry enough that you would consider them done. Okay, we did our drying of fruit, and we did it in a dehydrator at 140 degrees, and we're now done. Now, this is what it looks like when it's done. When you home dry fruit, it doesn't look exactly like it does when you buy dried fruit in the store, because the commercial people are able to do things that we can't do at home. When you dry fruit, one of the tests for it is you want it to be leathery, probably not crispy. So, and some of your pieces of fruit, depending on how big they are and everything else, may dry at different rates. And so what one does when you finish drying your apricots is you put them into a glass bowl and you let them sit and redistribute the moisture that's left so that it's even. And you do that over several days in a warm, dry environment. So I'm going to put these in this bowl, and then I'll put the lid on, and every day I'll come along and shake the bowl so that they don't stick together. And what this does is it makes it safer, because there aren't pockets where there's too much water. Because if you have too much water left in the fruit, then you can grow some mold. And we don't want to do that. We want to be able to eat these. I happen to like to eat dried fruit just the way it is as a snack. But you can also reconstitute it by putting boiling water on it. And you can use it in cobblers and pies and other things, and it's delicious. If you want further recipes for how to dry fruit, go to the National Center for Home Food Preservation, and you will have all the information you could ever want on how to do it safely. When you have finished conditioning the fruit, if you have a container that they sell these jars that are brown, and what that does is it cuts down on the amount of light that goes into the jar. And that makes the storage last better, because light and air are enemies of dried fruits. These are persimmons that I did last fall, and they are still good to eat and tasty. And they've been sitting in this jar since last fall. And there isn't any mold, and they taste good because I ate one earlier. Anyway, thank you very much for learning how to dry fruit. Now you know what to do with all those extra apricots after you've eaten all you can handle and given away as much as you can. You can make some jam, you can dry it, you can make some fruit leather. Happy canning.